What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. Today we're going to be taking a kind of a quick review on the Victrix Pro FS12 controller. This is a specific new controller for the PS5, PS4, and PC. I have been using the original Pro FS for a couple of years now that was compatible with PC and PS4 that had a stick on it. I've also have experience with leverless controllers. I've been using a Hitbox for a while now as well. So if you'd like a more in-depth review on the Pro FS, that is available on the channel. I'll put a link to it in the description and up on the screen. This is really going to be about the changes to this and how this functions as a leverless controller as opposed to, the levered version that we've been using for years now. So first of all, these things are luxury items. They're very expensive, and you can feel that expense. It's got an aluminum case to it. You can see that it's kind of like this tube of aluminum that's been kind of squished into shape. And it feels very sturdy, but it's also very convenient to use. You can see it's got these handles here along the bottom. It's got this huge foam pad plus these two silicone pads on the edge so that when you are using this, it tends to move the table more than move around the table, which is very nice. Not that it's going to move a lot because unlike having a joystick where you're moving laterally, you're really just kind of pressing downward on here, which is kind of, I'm a little bit surprised they didn't decide to make a brand new enclosure for a leverless style arcade stick like this. I mean, I can understand why you wouldn't because of the expense of, tooling this thing up and like creating this enclosure. To create another one for just the stickless version, I can see as an expense, but it would have been nice. You can see there's a ton of excess space. Let me grab the other one. If you look at the older version here, you can see that because you have 30 millimeter buttons as opposed to 24 millimeter buttons on this one, it just takes up a lot more space. And also, your hand needs more room to rest because you are using a stick. With this, your hands are really just going to be here in the middle and be pretty stationary. So really, anything past here and past here is just, it's unnecessarily wasted space. Now, it does provide some of the heft and the weight of the controller, which does lead to its premium feel. And you can certainly understand why they would want to retool this case for every controller they make. That would just lead to expense. But it is a $400 arcade stick, so, some customization would be nice. It's also got this chin here, which is you can see is kind of angled a little bit downward, which, frankly, I think when you're using it on a table can be pretty nice to use as a wrist rest. I don't know how ergonomically sound that idea is. You probably want to have your wrists up and your fingers pointing down so that you're not putting strain on your wrists and lead to repetitive stress injuries like carpal tunnel or something like that. When it's on your lap, this chin does push the buttons further away from your stomach, which means that you may have to kind of reach out toward the buttons a little bit away from your body. When you have something like this original Hitbox, you can see it doesn't have that chin here, which means that this edge right here can be just right up against your stomach, which then allows your elbows to be at a 90-degree position and your hands to just kind of naturally rest where the buttons are. I don't find this to be uncomfortable, but you might want to test this out just to see if it is comfortable on your lap. Other than the chin, I think it is very comfortable on the lap because of this foam pad here and these silicone pads. They really do keep it well in place on your lap. And it also makes modding this thing very easy. You can see there's this door here. You open up the door. There are no screws that you have to undo to get into here and start modding away. At this point, you can just start pulling the wires off of the buttons and popping the buttons out, putting new buttons in, whatever you want. I mean, there is no stick in here, so you don't really have to worry about stick compatibility. But getting buttons in and out of here is a breeze and very easy. Also, while we're in here, you can see there's a little switch to select from PS5, PS4, and PC modes. Although I will say, when I had this in PC mode, it did not want to work as a headphone jack correctly. So there is a headphone jack on the bottom of this controller, and it just was not cooperating for headphones. But when I put it in PS4 or PC mode, connected it to a PC, the headphone jack worked as it should, or as I think it would normally. So just weirdness of note. A little disappointment I had for the PS5 versions of these sticks, and this isn't necessarily related to it being leverless, but just in general. One of my few complaints about the PS4 version was you have all these buttons up here, but no L3 and R3. You can program it so that you can program, I think, the Pro button here to be L3 or R3, but you can't have both at the same time, and you do have to program that when you want it to be that, which can be really convenient for like training modes and fighting games, or for whatever you're playing. I was really hoping with like the next generation that they'd either make all these buttons smaller to fit in this small space so that you could have an L3 and R3, or they'd just expand this to make it wider so they could add an L3 and R3. Whatever they did, it doesn't really matter. I would really like an L3 and R3 button to be permanently on here, and hopefully they'll do that the next time they decide to revise their fight stick. Other than that, I am a big fan of these Victrix fight sticks. I don't love this purple color. I think this is, color is personal preference. I think the white is probably a little bit nicer, but I prefer even above that the gray that came on the PS4 sticks, and I'd love them to offer that gray again, because honestly, I just like that color better. And, for me personally, I like it. But this purple finish is very nice. It's an anodized finish on this aluminum, and it comes off feeling pretty high quality and premium. The feel of the buttons on this aluminum controller it's very solid and clicky. It's a very different feeling to something with a acrylic top, where you're going to get kind of a softer feel. There's a little bit of flexion, and it's going to have some give to you. So over like long periods of time, you may find that you like the softer feel of acrylic to create less fatigue on your fingers, whereas the aluminum, it could have the side effect of causing more fatigue to your fingers over longer play sessions. That being said, I've never noticed that with the older version, and I've never noticed it with this one. It is a loud controller for sure, but you can definitely put in quieter buttons in here to quiet it down. That's something I've done with my older one here. This is the older version. I've put, what are these? Gamer finger buttons, and you see it's much quieter compared to regular buttons there. So that's it. I've always liked these Victrix controllers quite a bit. This one's no different. I would have liked to see a few more updates for the new PS5 revision of these controllers, namely a L3 and R3 button. I do think that with the Pro FS12 in particular, it would have been nice if they just kind of made it a little bit smaller. It doesn't really need to be so big when it's a leverless controller. Also, just kind of a strange little thing is that the buttons, look, they're offset. They're just, everything's moved over just this way a little bit. And I don't really, like the center line of the controller, you think would be kind of like through here, but it's not. It's just moved over a little bit this way. Look, it's a small thing, but it's a $400 controller, and that's kind of the thing about when you get up to this price range of controllers, you just want kind of perfection. So anything that bothers you at all, it becomes less of a nitpick and more of like, well, this is a premium product. I want a premium experience. I do think it's a premium experience, but just the small nitpicks just stand out to me more when you get up to higher price ranges. So, having the buttons be a little bit offset, having no L3 and R3 button, these things kind of, I don't know, they just bother me a little bit, but not enough to probably stop using the controller. Would I stop using my hitbox over this? Probably not. I really like the hitbox. I really like how you can customize the artwork on the hitbox. I think it looks really nice. If you like the purple or if you like the white that this comes in, then that's not an issue. If you're not the kind of person who's going to customize the art anyway, not an issue. I really like the way that these cables come out of here. They're just Usbc cables. They plug in, plug out, and you can just wrap them around these posts for travel. I like the customizable LED lights. And frankly, I'd recommend these sticks to anybody if the price doesn't scare you off. If the price doesn't scare you off right away, I would say, yeah, these are probably the most high quality enclosures anyway out there, at least mass produced. and they just feel, they feel quality, they feel sturdy. They're actually fairly, considering how big and heavy they are, they're actually fairly easy to carry around because of these handles. You just grab it by the handle. They're very easy to customize the buttons inside. It's very nice having the removable USB-C cable, the easy to access storage for the cable, even though it's outside of the controller. It just makes it very easy to wind it up, take it back off. I just like these controllers, and because I like it so much, it really has become my favorite controller to use like on the everyday. We just wrapped up the Street Fighter 6 online beta, and that's really the one that I used most of all. So I think that's going to wrap this one up, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.